Hi guys, I am going to be doing a YouTube series, I guess. It's going to be a series of videos and we're going to be discussing life after sexual abuse and sexual assault. So most of you on my friends list have heard me or seen me talk out about this before, about my past experience. If you're not one of my friends and this video is reaching you, I was sexually abused as a child. And I have always been an advocate for getting rid of the stigma of not being able to talk about sexual abuse, sexual assault, rape, everything that includes. I'm definitely an advocate for this because whenever you bottle things up and you feel like you're unafraid to talk about something that makes up a huge part of you, then it becomes really painful and it can become really mentally challenging. So this channel is going to be talking about the uncomfortable things. I'm going to be getting really real and giving details about all of the things that have affected me when it was happening, after it was happening, 15 years down the road, etc. We're going to be talking about so many different things. So in high school, I came out first about this on social media. There was the stitch movement, and you would essentially stitch this orange thing into your clothing, and it represented your voice. And I came out and told people that I had been sexually abused, so a lot of people found out that way, and that really helped a lot of people. I had a lot of people message me privately. I would obviously never discuss something that somebody says in private because it is so personal. And I tried to help them as best as I could, and a lot of them said that it did help them knowing that somebody else had experienced the same thing as them. And then whenever I got to college, I came out, I think last year about it, or 2 years ago, about the Me Too movement. And once again, I had probably about 30 people reach out to me and say, hey, me too. And they said that they just like hearing that they're not the only one going through these things. So since then I've had so many different conversations with God about ways that I can continue to help people. It just always comes back to what more can I do? What more can I do? I've always been able to communicate effectively, and I've just been able to put my feelings into words. And I truly believe that God gave me this ability. And I truly believe that God placed me to be someone who was sexually abused so that I could use the abilities that He has also given me to talk to people and to help more people who have gone through this. So that's basically the reason I'm doing this video. My biggest fear, because I do care what other people think as much as I shouldn't, my biggest fear in doing this series is that people think it will think it's just for attention. But after long conversations and long with God again, basically I've come to the conclusion that if this can educate one person or help one person, then those judgments will be worth it. So I guess we'll just go ahead and get started here. So I'm going to tell you my story first, and it's going to be in detail. It's going to be as real and as raw as it can get. So bear with me. Okay. So whenever I was little, my parents sent me to a daycare in our hometown, and these people became our best friends, our family friends. We were over there every single day almost. I was over there every day for daycare. Once I went to preschool, elementary school, we were still over there every single weekend. And they were great people, but the husband of the family was grooming me the entire time. And grooming means that they earn your trust, they get close to you, they tell you things like, you're beautiful, like, I love you, I would never hurt you, you can trust me, things like this. And then he started sexually abusing me. And he touched me in inappropriate places. He would do this whenever he would take me on four-wheeler rides, or he would sit me on his lap and we would play computer games like Sims or something that I thought that was supposed to be super fun and would take my mind off of what was actually happening. And a lot of people's questions are, how can you not know? Because I was probably around the age of 7 or 8 whenever this started happening, and people are always like, how can you not know? Well, I was a naive little girl who had no clue, like, exactly what was happening, and he would say things like, don't tell anyone, like, this is our secret, like, this is what, and it just became so common between him and I that I never thought anything of it. So this continued on until I was about 10, and then one night, my parents came into my room, and there was a tornado warning, and after we got down, after the tornado warning was over and we came back up to my room from the basement, they just laid in bed with me and they started rubbing my back, and like they just said, has blank, his name, been touching you inappropriately? And in that moment, my whole body just like had an anxiety attack, and I just started bawling my eyes out because I knew that all of it had been wrong. Like, I didn't know when it was happening that it was wrong, but as soon as my parents pointed it out, like, it was an overwhelming feeling of, oh my gosh, yes, that shouldn't have been happening. So I told them yes, and they both took turns all night with me, staying up with me, rubbing my back, trying to make me feel comforted. And I would have never told my parents if they wouldn't have figured it out themselves. And the way they figured it out was that obviously he always knew our schedule because we were best family friends. So my dad left for a golf tournament one weekend, and my mom woke up to him in our house. And the last time that I ever saw him, because my mom was scared to tell my dad right away, and she obviously still had no clue what he was doing to me. So the last time I ever saw him, we were coming home from church on a Sunday, and my dad said, hey, let's have so-and-so come over. And my mom was like, no, because this had happened, and she just didn't want it to happen. She just didn't want to see him. And my mom's like, no, and my dad's like, he's always been so good to our family, because my dad had no clue, but that is just permanently etched into my brain. So he came over, and we watched Johnny Cash, Ring of Fire. So to this day, I hate Johnny Cash. Even though I like him, I hate him. And our couch was up against the wall, okay? And then behind the couch was just a chair. And I just remember I was sitting on the couch this direction with the TV up front with my mom, and he was sitting behind us in the chair. And like the last time that I was ever in the same room with him, I just remember looking back during that movie, and he was giving me the look. Like, there is a look of a predator. Like, their eyes, like the way that they're looking at you, like they own you, like they want to do something to you. Like, that look is what he was giving me, and like I can never get that out of my brain. And so then my mom finally told my dad that he was in our house. And so my dad went over to his house, and he was like, what the F have you been doing to my family? And the guy thought that he was talking about me. So he said, I've been inappropriately touching your daughter. And my dad just like didn't even know how to react. Like, obviously he could have tried to hurt him. He could have done many physical things to, get back at him for hurting me. But I'm so glad that he didn't, because having to deal with the pain of my dad being in trouble, as well as going through what I was going through, as far as like reporting him to law enforcement and stuff, like I couldn't have done it without my dad. So I'm so thankful that he didn't take it out, aggressively or physically on him. He just, I'm sure he said a few choice words, and then he came back home and told my mom that it was actually something towards me and not something towards my mom. So that's how they found out, and they came into my room, discussed it with me. From there, my dad told law enforcement, and I had to go into a room at 10 years old and demonstrate on baby dolls what he had done to me. I had to draw pictures. It was something that, I'll never forget. Obviously, it's a life-changing experience, but I'm so thankful that he pled guilty so that I didn't have to face him in court. He pled guilty, and he spent less than a year in prison. He had done it to me and multiple other little girls from the daycare and other girls around town. Heard that he did it to his niece as well. It's just a really tough experience, but now he's on the sex offenders list, so, and I moved away so that I never have to actually like run into him again, God willing. So it was honestly like the process of it ran as smoothly as possible because he pled guilty. I know that a lot of people have it so much worse than I did. The sexual abuse itself, he touched me, I didn't have to touch him, things like that. So I know that I have it pretty lucky as far as it goes. So I just want you guys watching to know that I don't think that my situation is as bad as it could be, and I know that a lot of you have gone through much more difficult things. And the point of this video is we're going to talk about all of those things. So in future videos, I'm going to be discussing in detail the short-term and long-term effects, the fear of it happening again, the effects it has on relationships with friends, with family, and with significant others, the benefits of talking to a counselor, how it affects your mental health, how it affects your physical health, a call for action, what people can do, and what we want them to do for us, educating parents and children on sexual abuse and sexual assault, bystanders, what they can do to help, and false accusations, as well as many other topics that I will think of down the road, but these are the ones that I've brainstormed as well. And if you have a topic you'd like me to discuss, you could reach out and message me. And the point of this is if you feel compelled to talk to someone, I'm here, and I want you to know that you're not alone and that other people have the same experiences as you. Every experience is going to be a little bit different, but other people have, some of the same effects down the road and some of the same emotions and the same feeling of loneliness and the same feeling of why me. And I just want you to know that I really feel like God has sent me to do this, so he's going to give me the words to help you if you would like it. And if you never want to reach out and you just want to watch the videos, then that's good too. I'm willing to help in any way I can. So I plan to continue doing this until it no longer seems beneficial for others or myself. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will be back next week to talk about the short-term and long-term effects.